Hey, wrestling fans, this is the headliner Chris Michaels, and you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D Podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Live and in Color with Wolfie D. And I'm sure you know by now, I'm Wolfie D, and I've got my greatest friend, Jimmy, across the street. Buddy, how are you today?
I'm good, man. How are you doing, brother?
Is everybody catching on to that? Are you?
They are. Yeah. People on Facebook are posting it. Like, I love the show with Wolfie D and Jimmy across the street. It's just like,
oh yeah, man.
I love it. Yeah.
I think make it happen.
Yeah. I think people are really enjoying it. You know, I've never had a nickname quite as long, you know, but I like it.
That's awesome though.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So we've had some great shows recently, huh? I mean, we've had Road Dogg. We had him twice. You know, that conversation, he was so giving to us that we actually wanted to split that into two, because I felt like, you know, a really long 2-hour episode, sometimes it's easier to digest into.
We probably could have split that into 3 if you want to know the truth. I mean, I mean, there was just so much stuff, man. And just the history with me and him and stuff like that. And what a great show. And thank you for the people that tuned in, because it got huge numbers. And then we also got a lot of feedback on it. So that's the coolest thing. We want the feedback.
For sure. Rate and review. You know, go on whatever app you use to listen to us right now. Hit a like, hit a review, hit a 5-star. Let us know, because that's so important to us. If you want us to continue on as smoothly and as often as we do, honestly, you know, advertising, sponsorship, all that helps. So what helps you all, if you can't sponsor us, and we understand not everybody can, rate and review to help us with the other sponsors. That's all we're asking, you know.
Absolutely.
So, but I don't want to turn it into a please do this for us. You all are listening. That's awesome. And you listen, you know. Not begging, but maybe I will. Ain't too proud to beg.
They're listening, and I love it. And it's so awesome, man. It really is.
Man. It is. Well, anyway, and then Jerry Lynn's show. We had him. We didn't have, I think he was like between a flight or something. We had him such a quick amount of time. But great episode, great conversation, great numbers so far. Really enjoying it. I think it's showing a good trend. And then, of course, today I come to you and I'm like, bro, let's do another Ask Wolfie, because this is our 6th Asked Wolfie. Can you believe that, man?
And you're the one that tells me that, like, it does good every time, and it blows me away. I mean, it really does. I mean, to think of all the people we've had, but the Ask Wolfie, for whatever reason, gets a lot of numbers. So
like we have 4 of them in the top 10 of our shows. So people love you, bro. I mean, they're not. You know, we are a show. If you think about it, everything that we do on this show is based around telling your story. And I love how we've kept that going. Even when we have big time guests like Road Dogg, Jerry Lynn, you know, Jerry the King, it's still to tell your story. And part of it is to tell their story, but it's just another seasoning of your story, which is just awesome, man. You gotta love that, you know?
Very happy about it.
Yeah. Well, I'd say let's go ahead and go into Ask Wolfie. You want to answer some questions for our fine listeners?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we'll be right back after these messages.
Hey there. Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Hey, folks, to get your official Live It in Color with Wolfie D merchandise, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Live Wolfie D. Check it out.
If you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D on Apple Podcast and like what you're hearing, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, write a review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. It's very important to us and always appreciated. Thanks again.
We are here with Ask Wolfie D Anything. And the funny thing is that when I send Jimmy texts, I do it on voice text. I always voice text because I hate typing. I just hate it. And it's called the asshole fee. Yeah. So this is asshole fee anything, I guess. I don't know.
When you said that, are we doing the asshole fee? And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But if you think about it,
fee? I don't know. Are we? I mean, how much does that cost?
It's a filthy fee. Yeah, you replied, it's a filthy fee.
Yeah. Yuck.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. Okay, well, first, starting with Ask Wolfie. Today, we're starting with Ask Wolfie. So the first question is, Ask Wolfie. The first question is from listener Jim Jones. It's at VanChiba21 on Twitter. And basically, he's like, can we get some good Brickhouse Brown and Reggie B. Fine stories? Some wild stories.
Oh my goodness, man. I love both them guys, man. God, there's some shit that I probably shouldn't say. I met Brickhouse, man, early on when I was a young kid. And he kind of took me under his wing, kind of like Chris Champion did, so that should lead you into what happened to me. But man, Brick was so awesome, man. I loved working with Brick, man. He was so smooth. He could do everything, and he taught me a lot, man. He really did. He absolutely taught me so much, man. If you remember, as a Cyberpunks, I wanted to change my style so that it wouldn't look like Wolfie D, whatever.
Yeah.
But I used to do, duck a clothesline, and Brick always used to do this. Duck a clothesline, he'd roll.
Yeah.
And so I do things like that, and just working with him and just hanging out, man. He was awesome. Reggie, we all know the story of Reggie without me going any further than that. I love Reggie Fine. One of my coolest friends ever in the wrestling business, man. He's a good dude. People can say what they want. Wasn't the greatest worker, but Reggie was Reggie, man.
Yeah. So that's about as wild as the stories are going to get, Jim, I think. Yeah, out of respect,
Yeah, I don't. And Brick's gone. I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want to say anything.
Yeah, of course. Just know, Jim, that those stories are there and they exist, but right now is not the time.
Yeah. And they were funny, and we had fun, and I'll tell you this. My stepdad, a lot of people in the Tennessee area know him as the Giant Scorpion.
Right.
He was 6'9", 350. And I remember Brickhouse coming to me one night, and he said, "Your old man told me to be stiff with you." And I mean, my dad, he did. He used to do that to me, man. He'd tell everybody to be stiff with me.
Yeah. And
Brick said, as soon as I locked up with you, I knew that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
There was no reason why I should have to do that. He didn't understand why he asked that. But I think my stepdad's defense, he was just trying to toughen me up or whatever. But there was other times in some outlaw shows, man, where he would tell dudes, and fuck, man, they beat the shit out of me. 16 years old. You think about that. You got 30-something-year-old men hitting you as hard as they can with steel chairs, with everything, because I asked them, hey, can I do this spot? And my stepdad said, smarten him up.
Wow.
He wasn't smartened up.
All right. Well, that's a good answer for that question. It got kind of real there, and I like it. So another great listener, he was actually an old coworker of yours, Bob Daniels on Facebook. Always a great listener, shares our stuff, always likes it. Really appreciate Bob as a listener. What would you want for a finish in a match between you and Mr. Jimmy from across the street and down the road? He's wanting you to whip my ass, Wolfie. Why?
Okay. I mean, what kind of match would it involve? I mean, where's the angle? I don't know.
I'd say let's just do a real quick one.
Yeah. I think, I mean, you're a manager.
Right.
So
right.
I can't let you do much to me. So
right. Exactly. Yeah. How about this?
You get a hubcap.
How about the finger poke of doom? Yeah, the hubcap of doom. That's beautiful. Just take the hubcap. Yeah. I'll take the bump, and then 1, 2, 3. How's that? Yeah,
that sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hey, you know what's funny? At the Ric Flair's last match, all these guys, like I told you, they were going like, "Oh, I want to take the hubcap. I want to take the hubcap." Well, yeah. The first one is not that bad because it dents it.
Sure.
After it's dented, then it hurts really bad. And so the rest of them were like, ouch, 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 ouch. I wish I wouldn't have said that.
And then you had those rhinestones on it. Oh, my God.
Oh, rhinestones, yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. But I just still remember how Joey Janela, the punk rock, I mean, he is just Mr. Anarchy, and he just floops it right out the ring. He doesn't whip it into the crowd. I could tell that kid respected you because of how he tossed it. Now
he did, and I really liked. And me and you've talked about it. You know, the whole put my fucking foot on fire, whatever.
Right.
Dumb, I think.
Sure,
but he respected me enough. He was like, "Hey, can we do this? You're gonna nail everybody, and then I'll just take it and throw it out of the ring." And I thought, that is really cool. Very good idea. Very good idea. And I'll charge you, and then I'm done. You know?
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. I'll give him big props on that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, all right. Our next question is from listener Jamie Brumley on Facebook. So, Jamie, you know, you seem to be Dale Mann's biggest fan because every time we do an Ask Wolfie, he replies, "Do you have any Dale Mann stories?" And so I am once again asking you, do you have any more Dale Mann stories?
Here's the only Dale Mann stories I got. I worked for him like a couple of times. He didn't pay well, and that's why I didn't work for him.
Sure.
But I also know that my buddy Chris Champion and Dale's, I don't know, ex-wife or something like that. There was some kind of, Dale was a swinger. I'll just go out and say that.
Sure.
They were swingers. And the one thing that I remember about that is that he got mad. Okay, let me ask you this. You gonna let some dude get with your girl, right?
Never, ever, not never.
Yeah, exactly. But guess what he got mad about?
What's that?
Because when they were doing it, she said, "I love you."
Oh my God.
And that pissed Dale off. And
okay.
So, yeah. So that's the only thing I know about that.
I mean, you know, maybe never mind.
Yeah. I don't know, but I mean, that's weird. I mean, would you really, really, really? I couldn't. I just couldn't.
Never, ever.
I could not ever.
No.
But if that's your thing.
If that's your kink. Yeah.
You're mad because she said, "I love you."
You know, it's funny. My brother and I, we talk about this sometimes. We're like, how could you ever let that happen? Like how could you ever just sit there?
Have you heard, let me tell you this story. Chris Champion lived in Murfreesboro, right?
Okay.
And me and him were like like I was a young man or whatever, and he was, I think his girlfriend LaDonna at the same time, something like that. Anyway, you heard the story of Chris walking down to the because there was apartments up here, right? I'm trying to describe this. Apartments up here, and then you walk down, and there's a Mapco, and it was on Murfreesboro Road.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And Chris, she went down there for whatever reason and called Chris, hey, somebody's attacking me or something. Chris came down there naked in a robe. And if anybody knows Chris Champion, he's swinging. So he comes down there and beats this guy up, ties him up with his robe, and waits till the cops come.
Holy crap. Holy crap. Was it the Yoshi Kwan robe, you think?
I don't know what robe it was. I don't know. But that's what he did. He walked down. I'm telling you, it was like I could show it to you. I could show it to you in Nashville, but yeah, he walked down there. His girl called him, said, hey, somebody's attacking me. And he went down there naked as fuck.
Wow.
And beat this dude up and tied him up with his fucking robe.
That's impressive.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
Especially if you got a big dick swinging in your face.
That's even worse, actually.
that makes it even more funny. I just got beat up by a guy that's got a fucking third leg beat me in the face. Oh, that's funny.
Thor's hammer.
Yeah.
It's hitting me in the face right now while I'm getting my ass kicked. Oh, man. All right, Jamie. I don't know how that answered any of your mailman questions, but we're good there. All right. Our next question is Jeremy Crenity on Facebook. And so this is actually from the Memphis Wrestling group. So ever thought about starting a promotion, maybe in Memphis, using old school wrestling with psychology and selling? Have you ever thought about doing a promotion in Memphis?
No, because things like that never fell in my lap. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, just, yeah. I mean, man. I've seen guys all the time that just shit falls in their lap. I'm not one of those guys.
Yeah.
I wish Memphis, and it pisses me off so bad because Memphis, like, they're all doing their own little thing, and
instead of coming together.
Memphis, and there's no reason why we don't have a convention around there or something like that. All the conventions are up north.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
That's where they should be.
Yeah.
I mean, stupid as fuck to me. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. I mean, and it seems like there's like 3 or 4 promotions running in that area. It's not a unified front
and
either.
They don't want to work with each other, man.
Right.
Man,
right.
Stupid as fuck, man. It's stupid as fuck.
Right. You know, well, that's your answer, Jeremy Crenity. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that any option like that ever came up, and, you know, might be somewhere else, but it probably won't be in Memphis. Anyway.
Sad. It really is.
Yeah. So our next question, Jeremy Zernheld on Facebook. He's from Louisville. He went to the Gardens every Tuesday. Do you remember an old man who wore overalls sitting front row? Because all the heels would mess with him when PG-13 were heels. He was friends with the old man's grandson, and they'd be sitting in the general admission seats, anxiously awaiting who was going to piss him off next. Tommy Rich apparently used to really get him riled up. Do you remember an old man?
No, I don't, man. And you sent me this earlier, and no, I don't. I mean, I wish I did. I can't remember everything.
Sure, it's okay.
There were so many fans that were like, man, some of the fans were just like, they were part of the show, man.
Right, exactly.
They just were. And I don't remember this guy. I wish I did.
Sure. But hey, that's how it is. No problem. All right. So our next question is Chad Anderson on Facebook. So This one, I've added something to it, but basically he's asking, should Lawler do a final match or final match tour? He thinks that Lawler can have a better final match than Flair. And then here's my addendum to that. Does Lawler wrestle too much for his final match to be big? And who are some others that could also have a big final match? So let's go first with the question Chad asked. Should Lawler do a final match or final match tour? He thinks Lawler can have it. What do you think on that?
I think, and me and you talked about this, I wanted Lawler to be Flair's opponent.
Right.
But after watching it, I understood why.
You understood why?
Could not have done a singles match. He could not. Could not.
Right.
Lawler can.
Yeah.
I don't know when Lawler's going to be done, man. He's like the immortal.
We may not be around.
The immortal, man. I've never seen anything like it. At his age and the things that he does, it's like, wow.
Yeah. Do you think he wrestles too much for it to be a big deal? Do you think he's too active right now?
No, I don't think that, but at the same time, when it comes down to it, he's gonna have his last match.
Of course.
I mean, he is.
Everybody does. Yeah.
Man, I don't know who. What do you think? Who could it be against?
Oh, bro. I mean, of course, Bill's not capable.
No.
Jimmy Valiant's not able. Bret Hart's not able. Terry Funk's not able.
Nope.
Wolfie
and
D.
That's why I said, when me and you talked, I was like, man.
His son is gone.
Then I was like, okay. After I seen it, I was like, okay, I understand. Yeah. He had to be in a tag team match,
Yeah.
Man, I'd love to see Lawler do something cool. I don't know what it would be. God, maybe that. Man, it just sucks that I can't think of. I mean, who could work him? We'd
have to think about this one because, it needs to be someone reputable and not Johnny Johnson, the North Tennessee champion. But at the same time, it can't be somebody too, it's got to be somebody of a reputation, but it can't be somebody that...
Who's left?
I know, man. They're dropping, or they're just not capable. It's not that they're dying. So, listeners, why don't y'all...
You think Ricky maybe?
Ricky Morton would be great because he could still do it. Yeah. I think, but to turn Ricky heel is going to be tough. It wouldn't be that tough, but...
Depends on where you do the show at.
Yeah. They're going to pull for King. You got to retire him in Memphis. That's just how it is,
Yeah, but I totally agree with that. But I just don't know. God, who could he work?
Maybe Wolfie D.
No, it ain't me.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, well then, who are some others that could have this big final match? I think there were rumors of a Diamond Dallas Page's last match show, and there were rumors of some other folks, but who are some others that not connected to Lawler, but who are some others that could have a big final match?
Man, I don't even know, man, because I feel like everybody that has worked Lawler, man, you just can't go there because they're all dead or
right.
You know what I mean? I don't know. They can't go like he can, and it's so sick to me that he can go like he does.
Yeah. Well, there's another.
It's sick, man. At his age, how he goes like he does, man.
Yeah. So, okay, here's a question that's kind of related to that question, but it's a different one. And this is from Instagram. It's at everythingbagel22 on Instagram. So if they were to have an event called PG-13's last match, who would it be against?
If Jamie would show up.
Yeah, Jamie's there. You know, got 2 correct shoes on.
Yeah. Man, it would have to be. God, it would have to be Rock and Roll, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's who I was thinking. Rock and Roll.
Yeah. Or Heavenly Bodies, but, you know.
Yeah.
Jimmy's gone and
Bobby's gone and Stan is. Yeah, but Stan's still around. But is Stan active at all, though?
Great matches with are just, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
That sucks, man. I hate it.
I think the Briscoes, then. We'll do the Briscoes. Okay, what about Wolfie's singles? What would you, if you were to have your last match, who would you want to have as the guy?
Who would I wrestle in my last match?
Let's say Conrad calls you up tomorrow and he says, all right, Wolfie, we're going to do a Wolfie D's final match pay-per-view. Who do you want as your final opponent?
Man, that's crazy. I'd love to work Sean Waltman one more time.
Oh yeah.
Because like I said a million times on here, man, there was a match in Memphis that there's no tape on. There's no tape on it. But as I've told you, Kurt Hennig wrestled Lawler in the main event. And after the match was over, he came to me and he said, hey, kid, it was like the, what was that commercial where, was it LT or somebody threw a jersey at a little kid?
Yeah. Or no, yeah. I think Mean Joe Green, maybe. Mean Joe Green?
Yeah. And that's what it felt like to me. Because he looked at me and he goes, great bumps, kid.
Yeah.
Like, holy fuck. Coming from the guy that, God, man, I love that dude. I loved him. Like, just watching him, and I got to wrestle him once and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, when he came down, I'm telling you, it was that atmosphere. It was down the Mid-South Coliseum. He walked out, and it was a huge hallway, and he looked at me, hey, kid. And I said, yes. He said, great bumps, kid. Wow. And, dude, fucking, I mean, it gives me cold chills right now just thinking about it, but that was awesome. That's
like Richard Petty telling you you're a good driver. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's like Babe Ruth saying, hey, you can hit them home runs pretty good, kid. You know, that's literally, he's the king of bumps, and he's putting over your bumps. That's, man, you know, if that made you confident for the rest of your life, you deserve that, because if he said that, that's the truth.
But to think about that, he was out there watching my match.
Right.
Wow.
Right, exactly. Right. Makes your butt pucker thinking about it, probably. I mean, you know, you never went out there nervous, but you might have been nervous had you known he was watching. But that's cool, man. But, I mean, you've done that in front of everybody. Jerry the King. I mean, you knew Jerry wasn't watching anything, but, you know, talking about the WCW match after the Young Dragons, and you all are walking back and they're giving you a standing ovation with Arn Anderson and all that, you know, so.
And I think I told you this at Ric Flair's last match. I talked to Arn and I said, hey, do you remember that? The time we almost got in a fight. He was like, no. Anyway, and then the next day I come back and you guys are standing clapping for me. I said, that meant a lot to me, man. And Arn was so cool at that time. I mean, very cool.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Dude, Arn is so cool, you know? So, well, I think right now let's go to a break, listen to a couple commercials, and we'll be right back with more from Ask Wolfie D Anything.
Let's take a quick time out and get a word from one of my dope-ass sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Hey folks, this is Wolfie D here, and if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Tennessee or Southern Kentucky, you're going to want to call my buddy, the rock star realtor, Benji Bowie. And you say, Wolfie, how do I get in touch with this rock star? Well, you can call him directly at 615-390-8216. You can go to his website, bowiehomes.com. That's B-U-I-E homes.com. Or you can email him at benbowie34@gmail.com. When you need a home, you need the Rockstar Realtor.
Benji is a member of Exit Realty's Garden Gate team in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of Vacations. Icon of the Seas. Arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
Jade Roper, the Southern Closer, is here for you if you're looking to buy a home and need the best deal on a mortgage loan. Now, while Jade's heart and soul is helping that first-time home buyer, it doesn't matter if it's your first, second, or the dream home you've always wanted. She is there to help. Jade knows the area, the market, and she's invested in your community. She'd love to help you with all your home financing needs and will make it as easy as possible. All this makes her the official mortgage lender of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D Podcast. Contact her today at 615-681-4282. Email at jroper@primeres.com or just visit thesouthern.closer.com. NMLS 1794506. Licensed in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Powered by PRMI, NMLS 3094. PRMI is an equal housing lender.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
All right, we're back with Ask Wolfie D Anything, and we got another question here. Now, this person on Instagram as Memphis Wrestling Today, and they have a Facebook page, they have Twitter, they're running it really cool. They're basically looking all over the web and finding anything to do with Memphis, and they share it, promote it, retweet it, post it. It's amazing. So thank you all, whoever's running the page, Memphis Wrestling Today. Go to that page, support if you love Memphis wrestling, and we do. So any memories of Platinum Plus in Memphis?
Oh, Lord.
He understands if you don't.
Oh, I understand, man. Let me tell you about Platinum Plus.
Yeah.
That shit was mafia run, I promise you. I promise you. Me and Jamie hung out there, I don't know how many nights or whatever, but we go back in the back with the guys or whatever, and man, that was it was just a thing where I was like, this is kind of weird.
We'll tell the listeners what Platinum Plus is.
Platinum Plus was a strip club in Memphis. They were always cool to us, and when we went back in the back, it was different. I don't know how to explain it. It was just, the strip club porn industry is like something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of weird. It's kind of weird. They always take care of us.
Yeah. Yeah, you like the ballet then. That's good. I always liked going to the ballet myself back in the day. But, anyway. But yeah, so Platinum Plus. All right. I'm sure if those walls could talk, we'd have them on the show, wouldn't we? So. All right, on Twitter, this one is Manuel Diriski. What is one thing in your wrestling time that your fellow wrestlers always like to bring up about you? So if there's, if there's an average amount of wrestlers and they see you, man, I remember old Wolfie D, that fool, or whatever. What did they usually bring up about you?
I'd like to think that every time we went out, I'd take care of them. And I would always, like, one of my things, man, is I watch this stuff and blah, 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 but I want to take the best bump.
Okay.
Take the best bump. I also wanted to get my shit in, but
sure.
I also want to take the best bump.
Yeah.
So if you watch a lot of my shit, man, it's like, yeah, he took a great bump right there because he was trying to put his opponent over. Yeah. And that's the thing to me, man, that nobody does anymore. They want to get all their shit in. But
right.
When I thought about it, I was like, all right, yeah, I'll get my shit in, but what can I take that's going to, like, they call it WrestleMania moments or whatever, blah, blah, blah. On each and every show, can I get a fucking bump that is going to be remembered?
Yeah. That's cool.
I mean,
totally.
What I really thought about.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. That's the way to be. I mean, that's probably why you have so many excellent bumps,
Especially when they throw powder down my mouth.
That's a great story. Go back in the archives and listen to that one. So on Twitter, @BenJammin, on a scale of 1 to 10, how painful was it working the Eliminators?
Man, when they came into, when we came back from Mexico, the Eliminators were like, they had just came back from Japan and they were beating the fuck out of everybody. Randy booked us against them and beat them every night, beat them every single night. And I think I told you this before. I was like, fuck, I know they're not happy,
right?
Because they're not making any money,
right?
And trying to put us over.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
There was just a number of nights where I went out there and I was like, God bless. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Because, man, Perry Saturn, I don't give a fuck what anybody says about him, whatever. And Cronus too. Athletes, man, and just fucking tough guys, man. And, I'm not a shitty fucking guy or whatever, but Lord, it sucked.
So on a 1 to 10 scale, what would you say the painful?
Oh man, probably 10 out of every.
Okay, I got you. That's it. It
was horrible.
That's what I expected, actually. So, all right, on Instagram @Jeb4722, most talented guy you ever worked with who just could not get over.
Man,
you're just like, holy crap, this guy's amazing, because I know you had to make some guys work. You had to shoot with guys sometimes.
Yeah. Man, shit. I think Chris Michaels is like a really good wrestler. And like I said before, I don't like what he did as far as his name or whatever.
Right.
I also think Chase is good. I don't know. There's a bunch of them that are good.
Right.
But just for whatever reason, they just couldn't get there.
Well, wasn't it Dale Mann actually that he worked for that named him Chris Michaels?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it is. I think because he had like novelty names like Nick Foley and you know what I mean? Like, yeah, Overtaker and stuff.
But yeah, you can fuck my wife, but just don't tell her you love her. Okay.
Back to that one. All right. So, okay, cool. Yeah, Chris is amazing. So, at Jose Chantal on Twitter, who was a well-known hothead back in the day? Any funny stories to go with the person? So basically somebody that just did not take a joke, he would just get angry at anything. Do you have anybody you remember like that?
There's a lot of those, man. Those.
Maybe just one with a funny story.
Cujo one time, Moondog Cujo. Me and Jamie were at this place in Evansville.
Yeah.
And Cujo was there. Chris Champion was there. This guy, I can't remember his name, but anyway, he's in prison now for embezzlement and all this kind of shit. That's the kind of people you meet. But anyway, brought us all up there to Buffalo Wild Wings in Evansville. He was going to start a new company. And me and Jamie got mad at each other, whatever. And Jamie was supposed to drive me home, and he didn't. Cujo came outside, and he wanted to fight me. He was ready to fight me because I had splashed vodka in Jamie's face because he was pissing me off and just weird shit like that. But anyway, and then, oh Lord, I don't want to tell the rest of this story.
Okay.
I will though. Anyway, I drove trying to get home to Nashville.
Okay.
From Nashville. Jamie was supposed to drive me. He didn't. I turned down a railroad track and I threw up in a cop car. Just all kinds of crazy shit. And I woke up naked in a padded cell.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Didn't know where I was. It was just crazy.
It was Dale Mann's padded room. I'm just kidding.
No, it wasn't.
I'm just kidding. Okay. So this one's interesting because I think I know the answer, but at Fantastic Sam on Instagram, have you ever been starstruck? And who for? So anybody, actor, rock and roll, anybody you've met wrestling, have you ever been starstruck? Who was it?
I was starstruck at Kid Rock.
Yeah.
The Ric Flair's last match. I was starstruck by Ric Flair.
Sure.
You seen the pictures that I took, like kayfabed or whatever.
Sure.
But I back in the day, man, you were not allowed to do that.
Right.
You couldn't do it. So there's been a lot of people that I've been around. Fuck, I hugged Hulk Hogan at a bar. Hugged him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, hugged him.
Let's get him on the podcast.
No, I hugged him. I'm like, you're Hulk Hogan. Ah.
That's awesome. So I get it. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So our next question is from Spurkins on Twitter. Spurkins. Might be S. Perkins, but I'm going Spurkins because it's funnier. So was there a time early on that you got advice to be a singles or any time during PG-13? Was there ever a time that an old timer or somebody just said, hey, why don't you take it solo? Because, maybe you all were having a rough time or something.
No, I mean, when we did that, when we broke up, it sucked.
Yeah.
It fucking sucked. Because the people want to see me and Jamie together.
Right. That makes sense. So nobody really ever said, hey, man, why don't you just go ahead and take it solo? You've got something. I see it in you. Y'all don't get along.
But what made me switch into Slash and stuff like that was because, like we talked with Road Dogg and stuff, the Machine had gotten John Cena. They had gotten Too Cool. They had,
right.
Even though we were the first,
yeah,
it just sucked after that, and so then I was like, okay, I got to do something different here. And I called Cornette and I said, hey, man, I want to do something different. And I said, slash killings.
Yeah.
He was like, no, slash.
Just do slash.
Yeah, just slash. And I described the gimmick to him. I described it. I said, I want to be like a serial killer, like, I guess, Loomis or whatever now. But anyway, that was my thing then. I was like, I want to be slash killings. And I'm going to have this, scar over my eye from, where I cut it or something like that. And he's like, nope, I want you to be slash.
That's cool.
We in, and, we did that. And then TNA.
Makes sense, man. That's awesome. Okay, so this is actually the last question of the day for Ask Wolfie D Anything. This is from @GMBMPW, and this is the Plastic Sheik, who's always a great listener listening to the show here. Had they booked it correctly, let's say, had the WWE respected you all in a position of a great tag team like they should have, how would you have booked an angle with LOD? Maybe a trilogy of matches, your idea for how to make it work up to your standards. So obviously you got squashed. We know the whole story, Shawn Michaels, JR, but let's just say they said, okay, Nation of Domination, we're going to pull you out of that. We're going to put you as PG-13 and we're going to let you all have a good run. Maybe something similar to the New Age Outlaws. And they say, hey, you guys are going to work an angle with LOD and they're going to get you all up there to that level. How would you have done that?
It could have been so many ways because they liked us, and honestly, that was the best job match ever.
Yeah.
Absolutely the best job match ever because, like we talked about before, we walked out.
Yeah.
Here comes Sean. Here comes Jim Ross. And, hey, will you please come in here and do business?
Yeah.
And so we did. And it was, everybody thinks about that as one of the best job matches ever. But, we could have done so much more.
Yeah. Well, hey, it would have been cool to have seen something like this, you all get one over on them in the first match. Let's just say they book a trilogy. You all get one over on them in a surprise. Maybe something happens to where they run into each other and you all take the pin or something to that effect. Then the second one is a long, good match to where they actually are like, it's almost like a giant trying to swat a fly or something. You know what I'm saying? Like you all just constantly pester them the whole match.
Did that thing, you've seen it on a couple of matches. We called it cat and mouse.
Right. Exactly.
And so we would hit people, run around, referee, blah, 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 blah. And we just run around and we just keep hitting them.
Yeah.
So that would have worked then.
Yeah, totally. The Rock and Roll Express wrestled the Road Warriors, and I fully believe you all could have and had a great series of matches as that, just like you said, cat and mouse being the whole storyline, but anyway, that would have been amazing. Obviously, unfortunately, it can't happen now, but in another universe, that match happened differently. I like to think. So, yeah. Well, that's it for Ask Wolfie D Anything. Listeners, thank you all once again for all the excellent questions. We always appreciate these shows and how well they do and how much you guys enjoy them. So with that being said, for today, current affairs. And so for current affairs, Wolfie D, I think I'm going to have my brother, the Plastic Sheik from the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast on with me. You cool with that?
Do it.
All right. DJ, hit the music.
It's a current affair. It's a current affair. Living in color. It's a current affair. Living in color.
All right, we're back with current affairs. And today I am welcoming my brother from the same mother, the Plastic Sheik, Jared Street from the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. What's up, man? How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, brother. How are you? And I'm going to go into business for a little bit on my own here, but I'm going to, since you're Jimmy across the street, I'm going to be Jared down the street. So.
Yes, there you go. We are the Screet Brothers. Welcome. Well, welcome to the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. And of course, Wolfie wishes he could be here. He's unavailable at the moment. So we wanted to go ahead and get you on here and have a good time at this current affairs. You and I talk about current stuff all the time, but obviously with current affairs, we talk about the new stuff. So The first topic of the day that I wanted to discuss, and this is something that you and I have discussed before, is basically the CM Punk AEW deal. So we all know that it's stemming from a statement that Adam Page made in the ring about something to do with Colt Cabana in the back because of their long friendship and then turned into rivalry between CM Punk and Colt Cabana. Do you have any spotlight you can shed on this as far as your thoughts go on this whole deal?
You know, a lot of it seems to be that there's one camp that which is Hangman and the Dark Order, which Colt Cabana had been part of, and even the Young Bucks are really in Colt Cabana's corner, and that they, feel like that he was kind of cast aside to go to Ring of Honor instead of staying with AEW because maybe Punk didn't want him in the locker room, thought it would be, best if they were apart and everything like that. Punk denies it. Tony Khan denies it.
Of course.
Apparently there is a split of people who think, hey, we should have taken care of Colt. Colt's been here for a long time. He's been a mentor to a lot of us here.
Overall, from what I've heard, a great guy too.
Yeah, absolutely. And apparently some people don't like the way Punk's attitude is. I don't know Punk. Right. Obviously, so I can't speak to it, but sometimes those people, and we've talked about it before. Sometimes those people are like super straight edge, kind of have like a chip on their shoulder. So
yeah,
it's like that they are, so to speak, holier than thou. And
yeah, you're right. I think exactly right.
Yeah. So I don't know how much is still. Apparently after Page did that before their match. With the, you all speak about workers' rights and all this stuff, and you've done nothing to show that you believe in that since you've been here. Apparently, Punk told somebody, I guess Tony Khan and some of them, that he would never job out to Hangman Page after that. So,
yeah.
And he did make that call out on his return to Dynamite, and, Page didn't come out, which I thought was weird. So that shows you it's probably off the cuff a little bit from Punk. I guess AEW wanted to keep it, peaceful, but and they wanted him to focus probably on the match with Moxley. So,
and that's the money. There really isn't a money feud in he and Colt Cabana, and honestly, Adam Page is possibly not quite ready for prime time just yet, even though he's been the champion. But the money's with the Moxley Punk feud. Again, they're two guys that I really don't care a lot about, but they really have hit it off with the fans, in this weird sort of world of in the world of the fan now, they seem to be really the popular ones. So,
yeah, something kind of, going off a little bit, something kind of made me, I've seen it before and I don't like it. I didn't like it then and I don't like it now. I would love like a somebody in the business or that has been in the business opinion. I would like to ask, when Moxley and Punk met in the ring before their match on Dynamite the next week, they were trading those blows. It's like they were trading punches, and nobody was selling anything. If a grown man punches me, I'm gonna probably have to stumble back a second, and I might make him stumble back right after that. But
right.
They throw these punches, and nobody seems to take any damage from it. I wish wrestling would kind of do something different than that, because it's just like action for action. It's no substance to it or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other conversation there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so who you got in Moxley Punk at the All Out?
I think Moxley. I don't think Punk is fully healed.
Yeah, I think he's doing it because he has to do it for, the storyline, but I agree. I don't know.
Well, supposedly Moxley really hated that title interim champ. So that's why maybe they had that match at Dynamite before that. So I'm going to go Moxley until they prove me that Punk is 100%. I can't go with Punk because I think maybe he's maybe going to lose this and then be out a couple more months just to kind of heal up for good.
I think so. Well, so the next question I have is another AEW and kind of the opposite in my opinion. This is FTR, and they are upset over being left out of the AEW Fight Forever video game. Apparently they were in the early stages of it, but for some reason they have been removed, and you know, people are saying that they'll probably be available through DLC, but at the same time, you know, not in the early part of it, and that could affect royalties from it, which has really made them angry. And I don't know, man, it kind of is a smack that your best tag team is not going to be in the video game, you know?
I mean, not only that, probably the best tag team on the planet currently.
Right.
I mean, why would you ever? I mean, it would have been like having a video game. They're basing this off like some Nintendo 64 stuff that, like, I guess WCW, WWF had, you know, a lot of the mechanics of it. And it'd been like having it back then when the NWO was big and not having any of the NWO in the game. Yeah. I mean, or at least the Outsiders or whatever. It just doesn't. It's a head scratcher to me. I read somewhere that they weren't so much mad that they weren't in the game. It's the way that they found out. They were basically told by a reporter asking a question about it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well, we don't know." And I reckon reached out to Tony Khan and said, "Yeah, that's true." So,
yeah. Well, you know, I asked Wolfie D about this through text message. I said, "What would you feel like if they made a USWA video game and they left out PG-13?" And he was like, "We'd be pissed. You know, we'd be pissed." So, I assume that video game royalties are a big money for the performer. So, you know, being that it is a huge game, it's the first video game of the company. I haven't heard great reviews about it, but still, at the same time, it's a big time deal. And, you know, to not have them in it, I think is like not having the Hart Foundation or not having the British Bulldogs or not having, you know, the Road Warriors in the video game. They'll have the Young Bucks, of course, but not FTR. Doesn't make any sense.
It makes you wonder sometimes about AEW's decisions. I mean, you know, I like what they're doing and I like what they've created in that they've created competition. And I think that's best for wrestling. I think wrestling works best when there is competition. Some of the best times of wrestling of all time, there was competition.
Right.
Just plain and simple. It doesn't work as good. You see how stale WWE had got at times before AEW came about. And it just shows you how much better it can be when there is competition.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Well, all right. We're going to wrap that one up here. But the next question I have of current affairs is a big deal right now on Twitter. Basically, the Will Ospreay, Kevin Nash Twitter feud. So basically, what has happened is Top Banana. It's like a new Twitter account or something. They said something like John Cena, CM Punk, and Kurt Angle do not have as many 5-star matches as Will Ospreay. So Kevin Nash then tweets, what's his merchandise sales like?
Yeah.
Essentially saying the money is more important than the acclaim. So, you know, Will Ospreay replies, what is it he said? He said,
did you tear your quad tweeting this out?
Yeah, he said, did you tear your quad tweeting this out? So obviously a cut on Kevin Nash. You know, the only thing that's important is the money and the miles. Is that Dusty that said that?
I can't swear to that.
It's a popular old timer quote, or the only thing that's real in wrestling is the money and the miles. And the money and the miles are what matter. So obviously, would you rather be Hulk Hogan or would you rather be Gene LaBelle or Dynamite Kid or Dean Malenko or
Ricky Steamboat, maybe even.
Ricky Steamboat. I mean, you didn't make the money. I mean, Steamboat's kind of tough because he had a little more charisma than, you know, the other guys did. But to me, I would rather have the money. You know, if you can take 2 bumps and make more money than the guy taking 30 bumps that makes less, it's no brainer to want to be the money guy. I mean, that's just obviously Kevin Nash is stating it as a funny fact because it's like, well, sure, but the kid's never made any money yet. You know, what's he doing?
Right.
So,
yeah, it's, I can see both sides of it, but let me be honest. Dave Meltzer is throwing out those 5-star matches to people in New Japan like never before. Like, I feel like he needs to go back and reassess some matches with Flair, with I mean, not just Flair, but Steamboat, Piper, Savage, everybody. He's going to have to go back and like re-examine some matches and say, oh, he's given 7 stars to Okada Omega. And I've watched those matches. They're not bad. They're not, I mean, nothing wrong with them, but like, I don't know that you could place that at 7 stars and have some of the Flair Steamboat stuff at 5 stars. It's like, where do you get that differentiation? I mean, like, he's like, to me, the 7-star or anything above 5-star and all the 5-star he throws out, it's kind of lost its luster to me. I mean, some people might like it. And I think the wrestlers that are the workers that feel like that gets them their due are really big on it. But somebody like Kevin Nash, who's not what you call a worker. No, Kevin Nash is very talented, good on the mic. You know, he was a good big man.
Yeah.
He did have knee problems and stuff like that you wonder if he'd had the like hip and knee problems fixed, how good he could have looked at times in the ring.
Yeah.
That was from his old basketball playing days. So, you know, maybe he'd have been a better worker, but he's a 6'10", 6'9" guy that wasn't expected to do what Flair and Kenny Omega, Steamboat, all them people would do.
Right.
So he focused on the business because it wasn't his first love. Basketball was his first love. So obviously he's going to want the money. He's going to want the merchandise sales.
Right.
Whereas Will Ospreay might have grown up totally a wrestling fan, what he wanted to do all his life.
Right.
And so he likes the 5-star matches. So there's different camps. It depends on what you want to believe in. I mean, I'm sure Will Ospreay's made plenty of money, not Kevin Nash money, but I'm sure he's made plenty of money.
Sure.
And he has potential. I'm not sure how old he is. He's
29.
probably around 29, so he's around 30. So he has plenty of time. He probably needs to be in AEW or WWE to make some real money in the future. But I've not really heard Ospreay speak a lot, so I don't know his charisma. But he would have to come a long ways to probably get the merch sales that Kevin Nash has being as part of the NWO. If he gets money from all the merch from the NWO, it's be tough to ever beat.
Right.
So,
I mean, his royalty checks as of today are still bigger than a lot of guys, you know. So Wolfie told me this, that you have to make $40 or more per quarter for them to cut you a check. So the network has killed a lot of royalties for guys, because a lot of the royalties Wolfie got were from DVD sales from the shows that he was on back in the day. So if you don't make $40 in that 3-month quarter, basically they keep the money essentially. So let's just say there's a royalty list and they say, okay, Wolfie D's got $15. Well, they don't compound that into the next quarter. What they do is say, okay, he didn't meet $40. We're not cutting a check. So, you know, we talked about that with Coco Beware, and it was kind of surprising. I mean, and Coco was like, yeah, exactly. Well, where was my $35 the month before? Why don't that compound into this quarter? And then I get $65, you know, or $70 this month, you know, but they don't do it like that. So, that being said, not trying to get off on a tangent there, but that being said, I think Will Ospreay needs to get to AEW or WWE to prove himself. Personally, I think I would like to really see him in WWE because, you know, rarely, if ever, does WWE get a guy at this age, at this time, healthy while they're still kind of young. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they got AJ Styles eventually, but he was probably 35, 36 before he was in WWE. So,
dare I say, they'll probably never get Kenny Omega. I mean, the Cody Rhodes thing kind of changed a little bit of that, but I don't think they'll ever get Kenny Omega there. But that's just, you know, my opinion on that.
If they do, it'll be when he's 45 or whatever. But he's talked like if his body doesn't hold up, he's not going to continue to rehab all the time to.
Right.
He doesn't feel like he can produce the best, which is admirable, but
well, hey, and that's it. You know, I'm not digging on this compression shirt he's been wearing. I don't know what that's all about. He looks like I don't know. Yeah. Never mind. But anyway, well, that's it for the Will Ospreay, Kevin Nash Twitter feud. Now, the next and final current affair for the day. Basically, right now, you know, Triple H has returned to WWE. He started to bring back his people. You know, Shawn Michaels is now in a high executive position. Road Dogg got brought back, replacing his friend Jeff Jarrett, which we've talked about previously on this podcast. Lots of wrestlers have returned to WWE since he's taken over. Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt are two that are not only heavily rumored. Braun Strowman is actually announced to be appearing now on Monday Night Raw. So that's a good move. I think that's a no-brainer, right?
Dude, have you seen Braun Strowman? He looks like a ripped monster right now.
Yeah.
He is. I never did understand them letting him go.
I know it was the contract.
Yeah, I know it's the contract, but
right.
I feel like he was probably worth the contract at the time. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe his merch sales weren't good. Maybe he didn't move the needle or whatever. Right. But
did they job him too much earlier on? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I mean, with Vince, if he sours on somebody, it's very likely that he was jobbed out.
Job City. Yeah.
I mean, everybody got jobbed to Roman and Brock for a while, so it's a tough thing. Somebody like Braun Strowman should have been put over Brock at some point, and that should have catapulted him further into his career. I also saw that Ryan Katz, who's a ex-NXT producer, is back with the WWE. Did you see that?
I did. I see him step down from the Road Dogg Oh You Didn't Know podcast and is now taking over again where he kind of was in the WWE. So, yeah.
As far as Bray Wyatt, I want to see him back. I really like Bray Wyatt. I like his characters, but until I see it, I don't think I could believe that he's going to be back. Just because it just seems you hear something every week, and he's a real cryptic tweeter, right? Which makes a lot of people always like, "Oh, he's coming back." Right. No, he was just tweeting something weird. It's all right.
It's so true. I hope he comes back, and I hope he is given the creative freedom that he really needs, without stupid stuff. Now, it seemed like he was getting a lot of his creative freedoms because, he is a creative guy. I really hope they open the door on that and let him, as long as he's not ripping off Sin Bodhi. Like
there you go.
Our previous guest, Sin Bodhi, as we heard, may have borrowed heavily from some of his stuff, but neither here nor there on that. We're happy to see Braun Strowman's back. I think that's a smart move. That'll give a fresh main event, even though he's been there before. He's worked with everybody basically, but it'll be a fresh set of matches now that you've added an A-list main eventer back to the company. So
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, brother, for showing up on the podcast today with Current Affairs. Obviously, if you all like this, if you all like the rapport that my brother and I have, you can hear us on our own show, Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, which, if you haven't been listening, definitely tune in. We've got some cool things coming up. We've got a What If series. We've got interviews with indie wrestlers and up-and-coming performers and veterans of the independent scene. We do hypothetical situations. We do cool topics. You can find it at Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. The links are always in the show notes of every show. I think we have a good time over there, don't you?
We do. We definitely do. And you can also get some action figure expertise from the Plastic Sheik here. So
yeah, when he shows up. So do you have anything you'd like to share with us on the way out, brother?
No, just thanks for having me on, and we'll have to get on here sometime when Wolfie can be with us and chat it out. And
yeah, he shared the microphone today with you to let you talk a little current affairs. I've been bugging him about bringing you on the show, and it just made sense for you to take care of current affairs with me today. So I appreciate that as always. For Jared Street, the Plastic Sheik from Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, for Wolfie D, I'm Jimmy across the street.
And I'm Jared down the street.
And you're Jared down the street. We're the Street Brothers. Thank you all for listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Don't forget.
Fight forever. Oh, wait, that's the wrong show, man. Daggone it.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
This is the Big Picture, Michael Jablonski. Don't forget to tune in every week to Jablonski's Pissed Off on the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling YouTube channel. The
if you're a fan of rock music, I'd really appreciate it if you took a moment to check out my podcast. It's called the Decibel Geek Podcast. We've been doing it for about 10 years now. We talk about Kiss. We talk about Ozzy. We talk about Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses and Metallica. We talk about all the legends from the 60s and on, up to brand new bands that you should be hearing about today that you're not going to hear on the radio. It's Decibel Geek. Wherever you find your podcasts, you'll find us there. If you love rock and roll, I can almost guarantee you're going to love my show.
In a world that has been completely divided for so long, two movie fans have decided to unite for the people and the betterment of mankind. One, an action movie buff.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
The other, a horror movie fanatic. Together, they will try to bridge the gap of both genres into one podcast with their battle cry, Give Me Back My Action and Horror Movies. Listen along as Charlie and Nate alternate each week talking about action and horror movies they cherish, mostly from the VHS era. Also, including some modern examples that felt like the movies they grew up with by answering the battle cry, Give Me Back My Action and Horror Movies. Available wherever you listen to podcasts. Look them up on Facebook and Instagram.
If you're a pro wrestling fan, there's something for everyone at the Cheap Heat TV Podcast Network. From the Pro Wrestling Discussion Show, Cheap Heat TV Live, to the interview show, the Jackson Interaction Podcast with the king of all wrestling media, Gene Jackson, to the silliness of the Whitey Jenkins Show, and the brand new Zip, Xander's Irresistible Podcast with Charles Anders. You can check them all out and much more over at cheapheattvlive.com.
So that was another great episode. Hey, Wolfie, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Jimmy, they can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I'm just kidding. They can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Warren Wolf, WOLFE. I'm on Instagram at WarrenWolf13. You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Live Wolfie D. And then on YouTube at Live and in Color with Wolfie D Podcast. Our website is anchor.fm/WolfieD. Here's the thing. Wolfie always has offers for his autographed photos. He has a selection of some awesome photos from throughout his career that he will autograph and personalize any way that you want him to. Just contact him either directly at his personal Facebook page or through any one of our other pages, and we'll make sure you get in contact directly with Wolfie. Get those photos, right, Wolfie? Yeah, I've got some good stuff on there, to help with the podcast.
Folks, if you can't get out to a show to meet Wolfie D, there's nothing like that, especially for the fans of PG-13 and Wolfie D. Also, do you have a product or business you'd like Wolfie D to talk about? Let us know about it by leaving a recorded message over at anchor.fm/WolfieD/message. Leave your name and contact info and we'll get back to you. Once again, that's anchor.fm/WolfieD/message. And before we go, you can always find me, your host, Jimmy Street, at James Rock Street on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And hey, Jimmy, before we go real quick, I just want to add in there, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate, first of all, the work you've done for this podcast. You have worked your butt off. Secondly, the people that are liking the page. Beyond that, even more, is the people that are listening. And we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the podcast drops a new episode every Monday at noon, and our past episodes are streaming now on demand on all major podcast formats. Thanks again.
I got a cap for you, don't.
He got a cap for you, don't.
I got a cap for you, don't.
He got a cap for you, don't.
You don't.
He got a cap for you, don't.
And here we go. The original white boy that came out sagging, not bragging, don't be hating, cause I'm spitting the truth. Still live and in color. Bum rush your mother, utilize a hubcap, unlike any other. Back in the day, I was NOD, and I was P to the G, plus the 1 and the 3. In case you forgot, they call me Wolfie D. Been cloned and copied so many times, tired of suckers taking credit for what is mine. You know who you are, without me name dropping. Wrestling's first white boy coming out hip-hopping. Been doing it like this since 92. Laid low for a while and you thought I was through. Listen real close to these rhymes that I've injected. This shit's so sick track, it makes your ears get infected. Mad skills, no faking, there is no one great. Cause I'm bringing more folks than Obi-Wan or Vader. Not here to play games, so you better beware. You don't like me, so what? I really don't care. Like time I keep ticking and I can't be stopped. You sucker step to the side unless you wanna get dropped. With my finish, I'll straight knock you out. Please allow me to tell you what it's all about. I'm gonna wind it up, then I'm driving it home. It's Wolfie D, baby. I got a cap for your dome. I got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome.
This has been a James Rock Street production.